So welcome back to another video. So in the last video, I mentioned that I'm going to break it down completely, how many employees in Dubai market are basically right now residing in the city. And out of that, what is the income bracket? So this data is basically from all the government websites that I can pull it out. And through looking at this number in the salary brackets, how much of a population in Dubai have certain salary brackets, although there are a lot of variables involved, but to people who are actually overseas, for them to understand this number and understand why certain properties are going to be absorbed, and what kind of price bracket, price per square feet makes sense where there is a value actually hidden in certain projects. So in this video, if you watch it until the end, I'm going to explain this new launch. A lot of agents I've seen, heavily marketing on this Ghaf Woods new launch. But again, I wanted to give you a complete clear picture on the transactions. What is the rental transactions going on in the best comparison community to that specific community of Ghaf Woods? What is so different about this new community, and where there is basically our target audience? Who can really afford these kinds of properties, or who can really afford to rent these kinds of properties? So this data, I pull it out from different government websites. So I'm gonna try to explain you so that you also have an idea why certain properties have capacity of rental amount, why certain properties only will perform at 5% or 4% or 6% rental yield in return on investment, and why certain properties are basically overpriced. So this, understanding these different target markets, you will have a complete picture like what kind of properties to select. So I hope it's going to be interesting for you. So let's get started. So right now our population is sitting at somewhere around, total population is at around 4 million. As per the estimation of different data, 2.2 million out of this is basically the people who are actually employed. Now let's break it down, the different salary brackets, and understand what is basically our affordability criteria for certain kind of properties. In 5,000 salary bracket is our basically the 40% of the population is somewhere ranging at this salary bracket of so it will be somewhere around 40% of total estimation of 2.2 million employed people, and that makes up to around 880,000 people. Then we have 5 to 10,000 variable. So in 5 to 10k bracket is basically our 30% of the population. That makes up to 660,000 residents. Then we have 10 to 20,000. That makes up our 15% of the population. That gets up to 330,000 people. Then we have another bracket, 20 till 50,000. That is basically our 10% of the population of Dubai, which is standing at this salary bracket of 20 to 50,000 dirhams a month. That is basically 10%. Then 220,000, of course. This is the quantity of the residents who are ranging in these kinds of salary brackets. Then we have the high and top, highly paid salary jobs, in which our category is 50 to 200,000 a month. That is like around our 4% of the population. So that makes up to 88,000 people. Now, in just 200,000 and above is our 1% of the population. That makes up to around 22,000. Now, I'm not even considering right now the remote workers, and I'm not even considering the two members of the household who are earning, and I'm not keeping that in this data, like what is the rate of a population which is growing by that time, and how many businesses are being registered. And there is also out of this population a chunk of the business owners who are right now moving back and forth, who are happy to rent out the property. They come for business purposes, then they go back to their own home country. So there is a ratio of that kind of a residents as well in Dubai, who can afford certain kind of properties, different income brackets, different scenarios. Now let's take it very conservatively that anyone who is earning any amount of salary in Dubai, we are just taking right now the employees of Dubai. Now let's take very smart approach towards renting a property in Dubai. So taking a smart approach, that means on a yearly income, you would be spending maximum 35 to 40% on your rental property, depending on everyone's different scenarios, but let's take 35% of different kind of income bracket. So let's take this one. So you will have an idea how many people can afford to rent those kinds of property which have certain amount of rent. Now 10,000 multiplied by 12 makes up to around 120,000. Take a 35% of that, makes up to around 42,000 easily affordable rental amount yearly. In Dubai, it's basically, you have to pay it out in 4 checks. Some cases it goes up to 12 checks as well, but mostly 3, 4 and 1 check. People usually negotiate their way out of, when they're choosing a rental property. Now there is a huge chunk of 660,000 residents who can afford a 42,000 dirham yearly rental for a property. I'm not considering if they have a family or not, but they can easily consider a 42,000 rental property in Dubai, considering 10,000 a month salary multiplied by 12. Considering 2 of the household members are earning, the rental affordability gets to a different point of view. Now, 330,000 people who are living and working inside the city. Now, 330,000 residents who, if keeping in mind, have a salary bracket of 20,000 dirhams a month, numbers could be more or less, up and down. Multiplied by 12, 240,000 a year worth of an income. If we take a 35% of that, it gets us to 84,000 dirhams yearly rental affordability. This is basically our clear number of understanding that if anyone is earning 20,000 dirhams a month, they can easily afford a year worth of a rental of 84,000. If husband and wife both are earning, the conversation change and it gets to a higher affordability criteria. But keeping that in mind, 84,000 for 330,000 people is easily affordable in that bracket. 660,000, 42,000 is easily affordable. In that, you can easily get apartment in JVC, Urjan, Warsan, Livan, Silicon Oasis. These kinds of market are basically filled with these kinds of salary bracket of people in Dubai. Now let's come to the 10% of the population, in which we have 220,000 people who, let's not keep 220,000 in our mind, but again, numbers could be a little bit higher or less. But keeping in mind 10% of the population who earns 50,000 dirhams a month of a salary, you multiply it by 12, we reaches to a yearly worth of income of 600,000 dirhams. Take 35% of that, we get to minimum 210,000 dirham rental affordability. Now this is basically your target market for townhouses, 3-bedroom apartment in certain areas. Different families have different kind of perspective when they're renting a property, depending on how many people are living inside that house. But keeping in mind 50,000 dirhams a month salary, very less number of people, like 10% of the population who are employed, have that kind of a capacity to afford 210,000 worth of a rental property. Now, after understanding these numbers, we'll go to the new launch understanding of Ghaf Woods. Then you will have a complete picture of what is the current market, if the current market have the affordability to support these kinds of rentals, or to rent these kinds of property, or even to if they're buying on resale, if they have that kind of affordability or not. But keeping in mind in Dubai, if you have certain kind of a salary bracket, let me give you another understanding. If a guy have a salary bracket of 100,000 to 150,000, which is very less, like 4% of the population who have this kind of a salary bracket, we have affordability criteria reaches up to 1.2 to 1.8 million dirhams a year. Even if we take conservatively 100,000 dirham worth of a salary a month and multiplied by 12, we reaches to 1.2 million dirham worth of income yearly. Take 35% of that for our rental criteria, like rental affordability, reaches up to 420,000. Now this is basically our families who can easily afford a villa on a rental or a big townhouse, a 4-bedroom townhouse on very good locations. They can easily afford that. Now there are so many variables when the income bracket reaches 200,000 or 50,000 or 200,000. Normally the people who are actually earning this much, they either have different businesses or they're doing crypto stocks trading as well. So they have different kind of affordability criteria. But again, just keeping in mind, if anyone have this kind of income, and not even considering the salaries, even if they have a monthly income of this much, they have so much to do. They can easily diversify into a lot of investment propositions in Dubai, and keeping 35% of their income, yearly income, they can easily afford a rental proposition of this much. And these are the buyers, these are the families, or these are the tenants who will, if they are renting a property in certain community, they will most likely, after renting your property for a year or two, they would love to give you an offer as well. I've seen those cases with my clients in Villanova, Arabian Ranches, who have contacted me. They told me that they were living on a rental property for a while and now they want to buy the same villa or a townhouse that they are living in, or they are looking for any other asset inside those kinds of community. Or if their affordability criteria, if they are over leveraged in the market and they are saving some amount, they would highly likely go towards an off-plan properties which are being launched in the market by developers like Damag or Emaar. Now, very less number of high-end niche top class executives who have the salary bracket of 200,000 a month, and it is like we are taking the number of 1% of that population of employed residents. That makes up to our total income of 2.4 million dirham a year. They have income of 2.4 million a year and they can easily afford a rental property of 840,000 a year. But most likely they own a property in Dubai, or they own multiple properties, the 1% of the employed residents. But again, they have the affordability to buy your property on a premium if they are just, entering into the market for any reason. So there is, the population will keep on increasing. The tourism is also increasing. Keeping in mind the salary brackets as well, keeping in mind the remote workers as well, who are earning very good in this market of Dubai. I have faced those remote workers as well as a clients. They are diversifying into different off-plan properties in the market of Dubai. So they have that kind of income bracket, which is why they're right now they're just renting a property. They are not buying ready, because ready versus off-plan in this kind of a segment, it's a big gap. So they're more inclined with the investment proposition so that they can wait and then enter into that home. Or if the situation makes more sense to live in their own home country, they would rather rent those properties or keep those properties here until it appreciates to a certain point. They liquidate it and make money out of it. So 840,000, just to keep in mind, is our rental affordability for 1% of the people. So this gives us a very clear picture, all kinds of properties in Dubai, even if you're choosing a property in JVC, why certain properties are not a good investment proposition. After looking at this data, you will have a complete clarity. There are so many details to really look into when we are choosing any kind of a development in Dubai. But again, this is a perspective that you have in mind to give you an understanding on the absorption rate, the liquidity of your property, if it makes sense or not, developer reputation, lifestyle amenities, location, everything. Those are the very different kind of a discussion that I can get into in very detail about any specific project or a developer or location. But wanted to give you this message so that you can understand why certain properties in Dubai by those boutique developers are getting picked up within 24 to 48 hours, or even within a week time if the ticket size is above 5 million dirham. But I've seen in Oasis with Emaar, property's value was starting from 13 to 14 million and it was getting sold out within 6 days to 5 days time. A lot of people had a challenge, contacted me. Now they're lining up for the new launch of Oasis. So this new launch of Ghaf Woods makes total sense. I'll give you a complete understanding while we go on the second part of this video. Now, our best comparison for Ghaf Woods, I always have given the best comparison available in the market of Dubai is Barari community. That community is a community which has been accepted by a lot of residents. Villas have done phenomenal job for a lot of people. In some cases, they have doubled their money. In some cases, if they renovated, picked up a deal from the market, it made them staggering amount of returns. But in Barari, the properties which are apartments, very well-sized, massive size apartments, are being rented at a very great price point. So I wanted to give you a complete picture on that so that you will have, in this new launch of Marvelle by Ghaf Woods, you will have a complete idea why Majid Al Futtaim priced it in a certain way that it makes money for a lot of investors. So we're going to compare apple to apple. The minimum size is 2,200 for a 2-bed, goes up to maximum 2,700 or 2,900, 2-bedroom garden in Marvelle new launch. So this is your actual resale transactions, what is happening in Albari right now. So in the last 6 months, 7 transactions happened. Transactions are going down, which means the properties are being absorbed, and median price per square feet is 2,000 dirham, but median price per square feet is not the actual picture. Our size in new launch of Marvelle, which is a very boutique launch compared to Barari, it's very much incomparable because Ghaf Woods is a very new community, newer concept. Contractor makes total sense, and location is far more superior than Barari. So let's look at those apartments which has similar kind of a sizes so that we understand the potential of resale on those kinds of apartments. Now the same thing is going to happen there, or something better is going to be happening there, but just as an investment point of view, if we are looking at this proposition, we'll take very conservative figure, but we'll see the potential of where it can get to. Now this apartment is 3,200 square feet, quite of a massive size, 2-bedroom size apartment, but again sold at 6.35 million in the ready market at 7th of October. Rental transaction is basically 720,000 a year for this 2-bed. Now keeping this in mind, in Barari, the apartments are quite old. They are not very well functional floor plans, but again, a lot of people picked up. They renovated it, they furnished it, and they resold in the market at a very staggering amount of returns. But everything is on the positive if you look at the transaction. So even this guy who bought a 2-bedroom of a 1,492 square feet sold it at 75% of a initial price in which he secured, 75% above that. 225,000 was the rental amount, and 7.5% is ROI on this kind of a property. Now this guy, he picked up 2,181 square feet of a 2-bed, rented at 440,000. Must be a beautiful 2-bed, and the layout makes total sense, the room sizes makes total sense, there are no mistakes in it. It's making him 12.75 return on the rental standpoint. Now this 2-bed, which is the best comparison for the new launch of Marvelle, 2,515 square feet, sold at 6.45 million, 45% above from the initial price he have secured. It was sold 2 times. Now the rental is 187,000. Could be it was rented for a short term. So we'll look at the rental transaction as well. So we'll have a complete picture on what is actually the long-term rental for a whole year is going on. So we cannot take this figure. If a property is selling at 6.5 million, rented at 187,000, doesn't make much sense. But again, 2,500 square feet, this is the best comparison. 6.5 million is basically your complete potential of this new Marvelle launch in Ghaf Woods. Another last transaction in the last 6 months which happened, this 2-bedroom is 3,000 square feet, and it was sold at 5.6 million. So the previous buyer picked up at a very high price, must be that reason, but rented at a very good amount, 300,000, which is actually the rental going on for these kinds of properties in Barari right now. 3,000 square feet, 5.6 million he sold it at. Now let's look at the rental transaction of 2-bedroom in Albari, what is going on there. So in the last 6 months, as you see, everything is going down, which means, you know, the properties are being absorbed. There is not much happening in the rental market. Even in the resale market, there is not much happening, because anyone who have bought, they have kept it, or either they're living in it, or either they're just keeping it. Now we'll take exactly the size to size comparison. We're not comparing even the floor plans and everything, but just to give you an idea of on the numbers, we'll take the actual sizes and let's compare what is our rental potential for 2-bedroom, which is starting at 5.01 million in this Marvelle launch. Now this 2-bedroom is 2,488 square feet, must be a good comparison. 300,000 is the new rental contract. Another 2-bedroom is 2,488 square feet, 465 rental amount, 12 months. Now this is under renewal and this was rented for 9 months. Must be a mid-term rental, but again, we cannot judge it by this. Now this 2-bedroom is 2,600 square feet, 340,000 for 9 months. Very good and decent amount of return on investment he's getting on his property. 4.4 million he secured property at. So this 2-bedroom, 2,600 square feet, 340,000 for 9 months. This 2-bedroom, 2,800 square feet, 310,000 a year. And then another 2-bedroom is 350,000 a year, 12 months rental, 4.4 million was the buying price for these kinds of 2-bed. Now this is another 2-bedroom which is under renewal, which means that after renewal the rental price will jump. But again, this guy is making almost more than 10% return because he secured it at 3 million dirham worth of a price. 2-bedroom, 2,600 square feet, 340,000 rental is basically your rental contract which has happened, which is under a renewal process. Now when we jump into the floor plans, when we jump into the concept of the community of Ghaf Woods, which I have already explained it in my previous video, but I'm going to explain it, the new launch with the renders, with the concept, with the location of the building, so that you will have a complete picture. I know 100%, I'm very much confident that this new launch is going to beat Barari in an apartment segment, because this new Ghaf Woods community is, you know, it takes all kinds of boxes of a community to run or, you know, to sustain. It has school, it has mall. They have already brought down the numbers of new apartments which will be coming up, and they are creating a mall inside a community. It's a very different kind of a vibe. So I'm sure, I'm 100% confident this will do much better. But let's look at the 3-bedroom resale transactions in the last 1 year. Only 2 transactions happened, because anyone who have bought 3-bedroom apartment, they have bought it for their family. Now 3 bedrooms are going for 10 million. One transaction happened for 10 million, was rented at 310,000. 17 October was the transaction date this year. 7.9 million, another one. 3-bedroom, 3,900, 4,000 square feet. Keep these sizes in mind because this is our best comparison for this new launch. And the 3-bedrooms make total sense in this new launch. 6.2 million worth of a price or a 3-bedroom. I'd rather buy a 3-bedroom in this new launch of Ghaf Woods if I want to maximize my ROE. Now let's look at the rental of 3-bedrooms, what is going on. Now 3-bedroom rental is, 3-bedroom is basically the size of 3,900 square feet, 615,000 it is rented for 12 months. Guy secured it at 4.2 million back then. Now Barari was a 10-year-old community, maybe more than 10 years, but again, guy secured it at 4.2 million. He held it long enough. Now he's making staggering amount of returns on his initial secured price. Another 3-bedroom, 3,800 square feet, 580,000 is the rental amount. Another 3-bedroom, 4,000 square feet, 570,000 was the rental contract, happened for 12 months. 6.9 million he bought it at. 6.2 million, very similar price point that you're getting in this new launch. 570,000, this is the potential. 3-bedroom is 3,800 square feet, 487,500 is the rental amount for 12 months. 6.8 million was a secured price. Now this is the potential of this new launch of Ghaf Woods. A lot of brokers might not be able to give you this transparent data, but even if you're investing just buy to rent, keeping in mind only just 6% rental returns is a very decent rental returns, which you can't get it anywhere in the world. But I am pretty much confident on the appreciation standpoint for these 3 bedrooms in this new launch of Marvelle, and also the rental amount which is right now in the current ready market, what is happening. This is a best case scenario. And if we look at the property finder, it says the same what I was showing it to you on DXB Interact. Right now the 2 bedrooms listings which are being uploaded, there are only 27 properties on rent available. So we'll compare apple to apple, so with the sizes and everything. So this 2 bed, let's look at the size, 2,600 square feet, like more or less a similar size of Marvelle in Ghaf Woods. So it's 385,000 a year. Might be possible you negotiate down to 5,000 less, or maybe a little bit, lesser than 5,000-6,000 lesser than this amount. But this is to give you an idea. This is our newer listings. Now 385,000 for 2,600, like 2,650 square feet of apartment in Albari. Another listing, this will tell you about the previous launch of Ghaf Woods, in which the sizes were around ranging for 1,200 square feet, 1,100 square feet, 260,000 a year. This is your rental potential for those kinds of apartments. 3,400 square feet, 380,000 a year. Very decent. Now, why this guy is offering at this rental point, maybe he secured it at a very less price at that time. Market was quite different. But to give you a complete picture, a very transparent picture on the rental potential on these kinds of property, 380,000 a year. Another property was listed at. Then you have 240,000 a year for 1,400 square feet of a property. 396,000 a year for 2,000 square feet of a property. So this is your potential rental potential right now in the current market lies between 380 to 400,000 for 2 bedroom apartment. Let's take 350,000. It's a very decent amount of rental that you can get. It's a very boutique launch in this community. I'll go into the concept and then we'll give you a complete idea why this new launch is, will change the complete game on that location in the apartment segment. And it will beat the market of Albari. A lot of people who are living in Albari will jump into these kinds of properties, and the new residents who are adding into the economy, they will also be happily like to live in these. And the high income earners who are newly adding into the economy or will add into the economy in the next coming few years time, if they have the affordability, they would be jumping for these kinds of properties on rental or on the resale. So the community itself has a very huge potential because there is nothing like this available in the market. Only on the opposite road we have the Wilds, which is the complete exclusive villa community by Aldar. So, but the contractors for both communities are same. Innovo is building both communities. Now these only 96 units that Ghaf Woods, that Majidul Futem is coming up with. I think it makes total sense. Now I wanted to make this video interesting, so I will give you complete numbers and everything of the rental potential, the resale transactions and everything, so that you have a complete picture. If it interests you, this kind of an investment proposition, only then you will look into all the details. So I'm gonna flash up a video of the model apartment, amazing looking model apartment. It's a very modern. Never have I ever seen Majidul Futem getting so deep into the luxury standpoint. In the whole master plan, if you look at the whole master plan of Ghaf Woods, you see there is a one cluster on the very right hand side, which I can flash it up on the screen so you will have an idea, in which they have removed a lot of buildings and they are creating a mall. School announcement, I will also show it to you over the screen while I'm speaking about it. School have also been announced officially by Majidul Futem, that what kind of school they will be coming up with. Amenities, it's filled with lifestyle amenities, very beautiful family oriented place, right in the middle of 2 of the best economic machines which have been performing, which is IMG World and Global Village. Now if you have a objection on the noise while Global Village is active of the 6 month season's time, these kinds of launches, these kinds of developments, and developer really takes care of the kind of acoustic ability of the building or the apartment, like if the residents are going to be affected by the noise pollution or not. I personally have went there on the location in the night time and the evening time and even in the afternoon time. I haven't seen this as a problem, but to give you an idea, the kind of a development that they are coming up with this in new launch makes total sense. The boutique development, the renders, if you look at it, you know, beautifully futuristic design, absolutely minimalistic, you know, colors that their developer is using, very thoughtful development that Marvelle Residences is coming up with. Now, I don't want to bore you with the discussion of the floor plan, details of the floor plan, which you can contact me on my given number here. We can discuss it over the WhatsApp call or Zoom call. So the process, how it goes, when you contact me, we'll jump on a Zoom call. I'm not available. One of my team member who is a specialist on this development, I'll have him on the call with you. We'll take care of your requirement. It is not necessary that while I'm talking to you, this is the only development which makes total sense for you. I'll understand your objective when you're entering into the market, or even if you're buying the second or third property. If it makes sense on your goal, I will only then persuade you to buy this property of this boutique developer. Now they are known for their best commercial developments in Dubai and all around UAE. Marvelle Residences knows how to create that kind of a lifestyle in that community. So they have done their first community of Tilalga, which was a huge success for a lot of people who have invested in that community. They have already seen those appreciation. I've explained it in my different videos of Ghaf Woods, which I have made like 3-4 videos. I'm gonna put down the link so that you will have a complete, if you want to understand the community, you can have a look at it. And also I will, while I'm speaking about it, you will see the images of the new renders that they have come up with in this new launch of Marvelle. It's a very luxury launch, only 4 buildings inside the master plan. 96 units, G+5 building, 4 units per apartment, 4 units per floor. So very exclusive launch that they are doing right now. Now let's look at the prices and the sizes. 2-bedroom, we have seen the transaction, so keeping that in mind, you can either go back in the video and see, so that you will have a complete idea if that makes sense on that rental or resale standpoint. 2-bedroom which are not on the ground floor, starting from like the starting price is a 5.2 million. You will be paying 3.1 million until the handover. 10% is on the booking, then the 5% which will be next year May, and then 10% after 4-5 months. Then every year you will be paying 15% on a payment plan. Until handover you will be paying 3.1 million on 5.2 million worth of a property. Sizes are 2,250 to 2,400 square feet of a 2-bed. I would always say go for the highest size of a 2-bed, but again, totally up to your preference. 2-bedroom garden starting from 6.0 million dirham. So there is no bad unit. If you look at the master plan, there is no bad unit. Every unit have a view. Even the garden unit, a lot of people have the preference of living in the dense forest. So there are not many apartments in the building, so you will not have that kind of a noise problem as well. Only 4 residents will be living per floor. So on the ground floor, a 2-bedroom garden, they are very heavily sized. 3.6 million you will be paying until the handover, 2,700 till 2,900, like almost 3,000 square feet of a 2-bed on the garden view on the ground floor. Now 3-bedroom makes total sense investment wise. 6.2 million is the starting. You will be paying 3.7 million. These are not the 3-beds which are on the garden, but sizes, you know, makes total sense. 2,700 to 2,900, more or less similar to the size of a 2-bedroom garden. Then 3-bedroom garden is starting from almost 7 million dirham. 4.1 million you will be paying until the handover. 3,500 to 3,600 square feet is the size. 4-bedroom duplex which is a trophy asset, kind of a trophy asset inside this building. Have a private pool and everything. I'll flash the floor plan up while I'm speaking about it. 9.16 is a starting. 5.49 million you will be paying until the handover while you see your investment grows. 5,000 to 5,500 square feet of a total size. 60/40 is the payment plan. Very greatly designed, thoughtful design buildings that Marvelle Residences is coming up with. I hope this video gives you some kind of an idea, but I made this video specifically for one of my Chinese investor who wanted to have a complete knowledge on the resale, what is happening, what are the best comparison for this new launch that Marvelle Residences come up with. I hope this video makes sense. I hope it added some value to your information. If you think anyone in your family or friends who really need to see this video so that it will help them out while investing into any kind of a property in Dubai. Please refer it to them. I'll try to give you as much information as I can so that you make an informed decision when you're investing in Dubai, and you will have a complete beautiful experience, a red carpet experience of investing in Dubai real estate, which a lot of people had in the past. Now, this is the kind of a property which will never lose its value. This is the kind of a proposition which is unique in the market of Dubai. Oasis, if you go above 10 million category, I think Oasis is the best investment proposition there is. If you go above 25 million, 30 million above, you have Eden Hills opportunity and Palm Jebel Ali opportunity in hand. And there will be more opportunities coming up, but I don't know if the location will be further out, because as much as we see the new launches happening, the land is becoming scarce, opportunities are becoming less and less by the day. But Dubai is an ever emerging market. There will be demand for housing because the population goal will reach to 7 million. There are other goals of government as well. They are creating different urban centers inside the city. Anything you will be investing into those nearby locations of those urban centers, which will help out making your investment grow. I only make videos for those kinds of developers which make sense to me, which have already proven in the past that they are the ones who have the credibility in the market. I hope it added some value to your information. Thank you for watching. Matloob Ahmed signing out.